What's up guys, it's Sabrina and I'm back. Today's video is going to be my birth experience. For any of you mamas out there who are pregnant and maybe want to learn a thing or two of what to expect going into labor, I just want to say not everyone's experience is all the same. Everything differs. So maybe only one or two of these things will happen to you, but just knowing a little bit might help you. I felt like I went in a little bit blind. When things went south, I did not know what to expect. Let's just say it was a little bit traumatic from that. And if any of this can help you better prepare yourself, then that just might make you a little more comfortable than I was. First things first, I want to say, going into birth, have a birth plan, but be adaptable and be open-minded because things might take a turn when you're just trying to deal with the hustle and bustle, because I'm telling you guys, it gets intense. I thought it was going to be some magical experience with salt lamps on the side, peaceful classical music in the background. Not how it went down at all. That being said, it's all worth it for the little loved one you get, for the little peanut. They're all so cute, and once you give them a little love, you're like, alright, I'll do that all over again in a heartbeat. It all started... Why do I keep doing this with my hands? Okay, it all started on Wednesday, September 1st. I went to the bathroom and it was at nighttime, so I was getting ready for bed and my pee like fell out of me. I was like, oh my gosh, wow, I've had to go pee like that bad? Wow, that was intense. Then I looked down and there was blood in the toilet and like a little clump of something. Kind of gross, honestly. I was like, whoa, what was that? Was that poop? Was that, I don't know. So I called my boyfriend in and I was like, hey, this just came out of me and I don't really know what to do. And he's like, oh my god, are we having the baby? Are we gonna go to the hospital? I'm like, whoa, I don't know. I called the on-call nurse, basically explained to her what happened. She said, oh, well, it sounds like your mucus plug came out, but I don't think you're going into labor right now because you're not having contractions. She's like, your water can break and you can still like have a week till you deliver. So just monitor it, keep an eye on it. If you feel any pain, definitely go in. I didn't feel any pain. Nothing else was happening. So we stayed home, went to bed, and then I was like, oh yeah, I have an appointment on Friday morning. So that's in a day and like in the next morning. So we kind of waited it out. If you guys have any doubts or worries, or if something like that happens to you, maybe just go get checked. The worst that can happen is that they say, oh, you're not in labor, nothing's happening, you're okay, go back home. I feel like if I would have got checked in advance, things would not have gone the way that they did. So just a little bit of regret on my end. It's not like I can change it. I mean, shoot, it happened how it did. So just as a precursor, okay? If you're worried about something, get checked. Friday morning comes, it's about 8 a.m. We go to our doctor's appointment. So she checked my cervix, everything's good. She measured my stomach, she pressed around. And then I kind of told her, it feels a little bit hard, I haven't felt as much movement. So she orders an ultrasound, so we wait like 15-20 minutes in the waiting room, they call us back again. We get an ultrasound, the tech goes, oh wow, you like have no fluid in here. And I'm like, what? And she's like, did your water break? And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, something did happen the other night, but I don't know. The nurse didn't say so, I don't know. And she's like, wow, I need to call your doctor in here. So the doctor comes in and she's like, oh my gosh, you need to go to the hospital. You're gonna have a baby today. And I'm like, what? Oh, I think my delivery day was about 5 days later, so it wasn't too out of the ordinary. I wasn't like early or anything, but we just did not come prepared. We did not bring our hospital bags in the car. We didn't set things up at home before we left. That being said, we got in the car, went home. Doctor did approve us going home real quick, grabbing our stuff so we could have a more comfortable stay. We had to drop the dogs off at my mom's, which was on the way to the hospital, but the hospital was about like 40 minutes away. But I just want to say, we did choose that hospital because it was brand new. I don't really like hospitals in general, so I definitely wanted something that was a little cleaner, more cozy, less sterile, creepy hospital vibes. And this one was definitely cozy, had a beautiful view. So I think without those things, I definitely would have been a little more miserable for how long I was there. But I did like that hospital. I would recommend it. So next up, we got to the hospital and they checked me in. We go into labor and delivery. There's like nobody in there. We're literally the only ones in that part of the hospital. So that was kind of cool because we got all the help and attention we needed. Sometimes almost too much. I feel like sometimes there was like 10 people in there looking at my hoo-ha and they had nothing to do in there. But I mean, it was nurses. They were all nice. So not a big deal, but definitely kind of weird. So if you're nervous about that for birth, just get a little comfortable in advance because it might happen to you. They checked me in. Since my doctor called ahead, they were expecting me. They immediately got me like a fluid IV thing in my arm to replenish what I had lost in whatever span of time my fluid was coming out. Then they got the monitor that went around my stomach to monitor baby's movement and her heartbeat, and they also started having me fill out paperwork to kind of tell about like what I want for my wants and desires and what I want for after birth for baby's terms. If I want a skin to skin, all this. Do I want to breastfeed? Then I had to take a test to see if I had to wear a mask during delivery or not. Thankfully, I did not have to. Tested negative there, so that's good. Then I met the nurses who were going to be helping during that time. I mean, obviously nurses, their shifts change, so while I was there I met a variety of different nurses. Then they checked my cervix again, and I was still only 3 centimeters. So then they said, okay, well, it's time to start things up. Do you want Pitocin or something? And I was like, no, I don't want to do medicine if I don't have to yet. So we did the Foley bulb, which this is what a Foley bulb is. And they basically put that up in you, and it's supposed to start getting things moving. So it actually did start working for me. It wasn't very comfortable, honestly. I mean, it wasn't uncomfortable, but it was just a little bit weird. And I kind of felt it a little bit. Time passed, contractions began. This was the fun part. You guys, when I say that I think that I have a high pain tolerance, I think I have a high pain tolerance. Like most people, they're like, yeah, you never really get hurt. Like you're pretty tough. I was a wimp. These contractions got me. Like this was like a period with cramps times like 10,000. And I used to get really, really bad cramps when I was growing up. This was terrible. Like, I would just rather have been, like, punched or something. Like, these were terrible. Like, you guys, I tapped out at, like, 6 centimeters dilated after she came and checked me. The next time, I was like, can I get the epidural? Because, you guys, I was, like, bending over. I couldn't walk. I tried to go pee, and I was, like, dying on the toilet. And I think it was even worse because I didn't have fluid in my stomach, so I feel like the contractions were more intense. And even on the contractions chart that they show you, like they have a little monitor that monitors each contraction, they were off the charts. Like they were going up and like off. Like they were capping out. I didn't even take a picture because I was just dying, but I'll insert a video right here of how terrible it was during the contractions. I did a little video during the beginning. During the end of them, when they got real intense, I couldn't even take my phone out, but here's the video real quick. Guys.
It's okay, baby. Breathe. You got this.
Told you guys, that was terrible. The next dilemma that came was sitting still with these excruciating contractions while getting the epidural. You guys know it's like a huge needle in your back, right? Like, if you don't know what an epidural needle is, it's like this. And the nurse was like, okay, you can get it, but you gotta sit still. Like, you don't want them to mess that up. That's definitely gonna cause you back pain. I even had it done correctly, and my back was sore for like, I don't know, it's still sometimes it's kind of sore when I get a back rub, and I'm like 3 months postpartum, so if they mess that up, it'll definitely hurt you. So I was like, alright, focus. So I hug a pillow, and I like bend over like this, and I'm sitting on the edge of the hospital bed, holding my boyfriend's hand, and like, I think he numbs it first. He puts like some cream, he numbs it. I didn't really see this part, obviously, it's my back, and pokes it. I would say it hurt a little bit, but like the contractions are way worse. The needle felt like nothing compared to the contractions, so I was like, alright, I'll take it. And that settled in, I will say, that settled in pretty quickly. 20 minutes later, I only had to go like through 3 more contractions or so in that time, and once that settled in, I was fine. I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm comfortable. This is good. I'm ready to do the thing. Like, I could still feel myself. I wasn't numb at all, like completely all over. I was ready. Time went on. The doctor ran in because one of the monitors on my stomach, the one that was monitoring baby's heartbeat, was actually going off, that it wasn't picking up anything. So she tells me to like start switching positions so that she can try to get a little better connection or hear a little better. Maybe baby shifted inside and she couldn't pick up anything. So I was, you know, twisting, whatever. She's staying calm, so I'm thinking it's no big deal. But then she starts moving a little faster, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this an emergency? What's going on? And she's like, let's check your cervix again. And so she checks my cervix. I'm only 7 centimeters at this point, but she's like, I can feel baby's head. And she's like, honestly, I don't know if baby's in distress in there. We're not picking up anything on the monitor. The cord could be around her neck, the umbilical cord. She could be choking. Like, guys, I was literally speechless. But she goes, we probably need to do an emergency C-section. Like, are you okay with that? And honestly, in the very beginning of my pregnancy, I had placental previa, which is where my placenta was too close to my cervix. Like, they were on top of each other and they kind of have to move apart. So I was prepared for this in the beginning, but we had gotten over that. It moved away. So I was like, oh yeah, I can have a vaginal birth. Super excited. I can push, like, power to me. But guys, we were 3 centimeters away from that vaginal birth. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do this C-section. Whatever that can get my baby here safely, I'm good for. Let's get this on. They gave AB his scrubs and they were like, all right, suit up. Because obviously I was like, well, can he come in there with me? Like, do I just have to go to a room alone? How is this going to work?
Say hi, people. We're almost here. Yeah. We're prepping it. About to go into C-section, guys, so wish us luck. We'll be back.
So they start pumping medicine in me. At this all started happening like super fast at this point. So they start putting medicine in my IV, get me all ready to go. And then they tell me that I have to go in there for like 10 minutes or so by myself while they set me up and get me ready, and then he can come in and join. And I was like, okay, but like, don't pull that baby out till he's in here. Like, what? So they pull me in there. Guys, at this point, I don't know if it was me, my body, the medicine, or what, but the room was so cold. The lights were so bright. I'm laying on this bed. They switched me over to the operating table. That's even colder. This is like, why don't they warm those things up? Anyways, at this point, I like start to shake. Like, my body starts to like tremble. Like, I was literally shaking like a flopping fish because of all the medicine. I even remember asking the anesthesiologist, I was like, can you help me? Like, is this normal? He's like, I just think it's your body reacting to the medicine. And I was like, so literally this whole time that they're like prepping me and stuff, I'm shaking on the operating table. So the lady's like, do you want me to strap your arms down? I'm like, please, like, whatever you can do to help me. So they gave me a warm blanket, which that was nice, but this was definitely the most uncomfortable part. I just remember thinking, like, I cannot wait for this to be over. At this point, I'm pretty miserable. So I'm like, where's my boyfriend? Can he come back in here? They're like, yeah, just a second. So then they let him back in. And he's like, oh my god, that felt like the longest time ever out there. I'm like, I know, trust me, I felt it too. He even saw me and was like, oh my god, are you gonna have a seizure right now? Is she okay? Like, does she need something? He comforted me, and they already had the sheet up when he came in. Actually, he even said that they already like had me cut open a little bit when he came in. So I think they literally like cut to a couple layers down and then pulled baby out right away. And then he came in. They might have even forgot he was out there waiting. I don't know. I was asking like every couple of seconds. But anyways, the sheet was up. Obviously, I couldn't see anything, nor could I feel anything. So I was laying there. I heard them actually, this is like the weird part. I heard them talking, and they were just talking about like regular stuff. They're like, oh, so did you see that movie? On Wednesday, I saw that with my kids. Like, it was fun. They're just talking about regular days, and I'm over here getting cut open on the table. I don't know if you guys would be okay with that. I mean, I was okay with it. It made it feel a little bit more normal, but I was definitely like, this is something I'm gonna remember for a while because that was odd. So I'm laying there, and like seconds later, I hear, there she is, and then they pull her out, and I hear her cry. So I'm like, oh yes, she's okay, she's crying. I just know that a lot of times you're excited to hear the first cry. That means she's breathing, she's okay, there's enough fluid in her lungs. So they bring her over to the table on the side, they check her out. Meanwhile, I'm like strapped to this table, so I just look over and I like see her. She's all googly, like, you know, wet and stuff. And they weigh her. You guys, she was tiny. She was 4 pounds and 13 ounces. Good thing is they check her out. She's all good. She didn't really have anything in her lungs. She did swallow a little bit of meconium, so when she got out, she like spit up a little bit of green stuff, but it wasn't too much to where she needed to go to the NICU. So yay for that. They sewed me up. they moved me over to the postpartum bed, which it's so crazy. I remember them like lifting me up. I obviously saw myself getting lifted up. I was conscious and everything, but I like couldn't feel anything at all. I just felt like a log. Like I felt so heavy, and they were just like, it's the weirdest thing ever. So then a nurse came in and she showed me how to squeeze my boob to where breast milk would come out so that the baby would latch on. So we held the baby there. She latched on right away. She was a champ. She was just a champ from birth. So that's good. Then the doctors told me that once I peed twice and pooped once, I was able to walk around without needing help. So I was like, oh my god, this is total motivation. I did exactly that. I peed, pooped. A lot of people say that the first poop after birth is terrible. Mine was not so bad, and I was starting to get some feeling back in my body, so I was like, yes, whatever we gotta do. Hours later, honestly, I would say like 3 hours later, I was honestly walking down the hospital floor back and forth with my nurse, and I mean, I just had a surgery. I just had my insides cut open. I actually did hear that walking around after a C-section is good for healing, and it's good for moving things around so they don't get too stuck to where you're like unable to move the muscles. Like keeping them basically just active is good. I'm doing fine. 3 months postpartum, even like the first week, the first day I was back and doing stuff. So I don't know, my doctors were just great in that department. So thank you for that, docs. So the next couple days, I think I was there for 3 days and like a little morning after that. So almost 4. Basically, the rest of the time there was just them coming in and offering me Tylenol and ibuprofen, so I switched between that. I didn't really want any hardcore pain medicine because I was breastfeeding, so I wanted to keep it as natural as I could. I walked around, had to keep moving. I had these like things on my feet. I don't really know at that point. I was like, all right, can I go home? Honestly, being in the hospital that long, I was starting to go crazy. At the end of my stay, the nurses like kind of stopped coming in as much because they knew I was irritated, and I just kept asking, can I go home yet? Can I go home yet? The main reason they were keeping us is because they were saying that my baby's jaundice levels were a little bit higher on level scale they use, but they're like, she doesn't look very yellow, but her levels are higher on the scale. So I'm like, makes sense, right? So I was getting irritated, and then I was just like, all right, well, I'm gonna, you know, sneak out if I have to. But the weird thing about that is they literally put like a tracker monitor on your baby's foot. So we were by the exit, and anytime we would like walk over by the wall, even just like walking around the room getting exercise in there, they would come in like, oh, we're just checking if the baby's still in there. The monitor went off. And I'm like, it's my baby though. What do you mean? What if I wanted to leave right now? Crazy though, right? One of the nice things about the hospital that they did was, which make sure you ask if yours does this, because, well, I actually wouldn't have known unless one of the nurses was like, oh, did you get your mama papa meal or whatever? I forget what it was called. I'll post a picture here of the menu, the options we had, because it was actually, I mean, the thought that counted. Like, none of the food was really that good, to be honest. I only really ate some of it. Here's a picture of what it looked like. I only really ate the carrots, but I did like the thought. I mean, it looked cool. It was a nice little thing to get my mind off wanting to go home, but I just couldn't eat. I had a baby. I want to go home. I want to cuddle with my dogs. Another thing that was cool was they gave me this welcome mommy basket. This is what it looked like. That was kind of nice. It was like, yeah, you just had a baby. Here's some snacks, which I did dig into those Kit Kats on the 3rd day in like the middle of the night. Another thing that I will mention is after you give birth, if the nurses offer to like help feed your baby while you're resting, if they're like, oh, do you want to sleep a couple hours? We'll feed the baby at like 3 to 6 a.m. or whatever. Take that. Take that help. You will want that. I took that help. We took that help. We both slept. We woke up and we looked at each other and we were like, that felt good. Just do it. I mean, it was great for me. I recommend it. So on the 4th day, the doctor, the newborn doctor, came in and he looks at her and he goes, oh, she looks great. I don't know if this was because like the day before we were literally sitting with her in front of the window trying to give her sunlight, if that had anything to do with it, but he's like, oh, she looks great. She doesn't look yellow at all. And I'm like, you guys really kept me here a whole nother night to tell me that? Like, for him to look at her. He didn't even run any tests. He just looked at her and he goes, she's good. I mean, I was happy, but I was very annoyed that this is all I was waiting for all night. I could have slept in my bed, but no. So anyways, AB takes our bags, packs it up, puts it in the car, and then they wheel me out in a wheelchair. Here's what all of that looks like. I want to put a quick clip of him taking me and everything and the baby to the car, because it's a great memory. And that was it, you guys. That was my birth experience. So make sure you hit subscribe because I'm definitely going to be updating you on things I wish someone told me before giving birth. It's just gonna be a list of things. And let me know if you want to know anything. Yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. See you later.